Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Kyle Krause, and with me today is my co-host / hostage, Aleah Baker. I don't know what any of that means. Help me, Lee. Help me.
No, I'm done. I'm gone.
You're done already? Ah, crap. I can't do this show by myself.
Yeah, you can. Have fun.
No, I can't.
I don't want...
I can't talk about Fire Emblem. I don't know hardly anything about Fire Emblem.
Who said I'm talking about Fire Emblem?
I don't know what you're talking about. You said you wanted to talk about Fire Emblem. What am I...
I said it was all I was doing lately was playing Three Houses.
Well, you said... Well, then talk about Three Houses. How many houses do you have?
4.
Why do you have so many? How many do you need?
I mean, I'm a millennial. I have no houses.
That's true. It's a good point.
There are no houses to be had.
That's also true.
I live in a gorgeous shoebox in the sky.
I mean, technically you are correct.
But I do have access to a pool, so...
You do at least have access to running water, I think.
Yeah, well, most of the time, but that is a boon compared to,
normal. Yeah.
Well,
so it's been a while since you've been on the BumbleKast. How are things? How are things going in your life these days?
Okay, I guess I might as well get all weird and personal because
you could do whatever you want. You could say,
well, not a whole lot else goes on with me. Okay, I've talked about being horribly mangled and sick and stuff in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I might as well bring up some good news. So I've been doing some new treatment for a few months, and it is horrible and unpleasant, and I say all kinds of creatively strung together phrases while undergoing it. But on the plus side, it seems to be working, and as of a few weeks ago, I am officially / technically in remission.
Woohoo!
So that's really good. That's not, to say I am cured or all better, or that nothing will ever go wrong ever again, or that it couldn't go wrong again in 2 weeks. And I really, 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 really hope that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But, like as I was saying, it's just kind of small things. But like I've, in the last, I guess, week and a half or so, I've been able to do little things like play Smash Brothers or Mario Kart or help cook or, anything, little things like that. Or yeah.
Right.
And been trying to do more swimming and things like that now that I can move somewhat. So
you're able to function and you have physical capabilities
to some point. It's improving.
Yes.
It's an upward trend.
It's small, but that's the thing. A lot of small steps, and that's good. That's recovery.
I mean, it's really frustrating too because, it's kind of like, okay, you fell off the mountain. Now climb back up.
Right. I understand.
You fell off the mountain and also landed in a pit full of pointy rocks, and there might be an alligator or two down there. And also the rocks are coated in slow-acting poison. But don't worry, you'll get out. You can climb, get going.
It's okay.
Because, we gave you a pickaxe. There you go. Here's your pickaxe.
Yes. I know you. So, I know you can do it. You're stubborn.
If anything, I guess I am stubborn.
In the good way.
I don't know. You were giving me literal flashbacks to one of my editorial calls when I was working with Archie.
Uh-oh. Did they say that in the mean way?
They said it in a delicate business way.
Oh, which means they said it in a mean way.
No, in a delicate, we need to work this out, or else there's not going to be anything published. Past the point.
Like I said, the mean way.
Well,
because they did not kowtow to your demands.
Well, yeah.
How dare they? Don't they know who you are?
I know. I was mean in the Canadian way, which is, passive aggressive. No.
Perfect.
I thought I was being reasonable.
Of course. You probably were. They're just a bunch of jerks.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. It did not happen.
It's me. I'm the one who said it. Yell at me, whoever you were.
But anyway, so, things are improving, but, kind of in terms of video games for a while, because I was still, bored out of my mind and not able to move much. So I had been playing mostly video games that didn't require a lot of quick reaction time or fast inputs or complicated inputs or anything. So a lot of slow menu-based, boring-ass things.
Yes.
But, I like Fire Emblem anyway, and this one has a bunch of, actually, I should just say it has a lot of replayability to it, so I had been playing through it repeatedly, and then the DLC was going to drop, so it's actually got, extended story to it, and more campaign and this and that, so
yes, so
figured it would make a decent birthday gift, so
yay!
I'm still playing that!
The Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Switch.
Yeah.
I know, you have been playing a lot of it.
It does have a lot of content, though, and it's kind of funny, because there are some areas where I would almost say it's a little lacking, and I don't want to sound like a graphic snob, but there are some areas where I would honestly not be surprised if someone had told me that this had started out development as a 3DS game.
Right.
And then had been upscaled.
That's not too surprising.
Because there are some areas that are just laughably low res looking or low poly looking.
I've seen some of that. Yeah.
But it's weird though, because it's not consistent in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
There are areas that look very muddy textured next to areas that are noticeably much higher textured.
Yeah.
There are areas that are much sharper next to areas that are not. And then there's something weird about the way the shaders are applied. That's just a matter of kind of how it's filtered through the system. Right. What I kind of thought was, that just looks like a weird texture. Why does it look like that? It's not a matter of the texture. It can be improved. It's just the way they have it running, and I don't know why it's like that.
Seems like must have been like budget concerns, and they just allocated whatever redevelopment they could where they could, and so you get weird
inconsistencies.
Weird low res assets next to high res assets, and it makes things look awkward.
And I mean, it's not that big a deal, because ultimately the gameplay is what it comes down to, and I've been enjoying it. So
right,
there's that. The music is fantastic.
What I've heard is very good. Yes,
the soundtrack. I mean, this one has been a pretty big standout, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But something else that's really nice too is that there are so many little variables in terms of the dialogue and other factors. Basically, because might come as a surprise, but given the name, that there are 3 houses, like 3 major factions.
Mm-hmm.
But you can basically poach characters from the others to whichever one you choose. And depending on the characters' individual alliances and which side you end up fighting for and which overall story path you're pursuing, or even what other interactions you've seen up to that point, all other kinds of story bits or interactions, or even like dialogue within battle scenes can change.
Yeah.
There's tons of that. So that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, some of it is also really horrible, because then you can end up in situations where, childhood friends end up on opposite sides of a battle, one having, betrayed their own country or something and having drifted apart, or else maybe they were still really close. And now you're pitting them against each other because you're a horrible, horrible person and wanted to see if you'd get any unique dialogue options out of it.
That happens in real life too, though. So, yeah, at least it's believable.
Yeah.
In that aspect, I suppose.
It was kind of funny,
it is
though, because,
sad.
like, at the start of this all, because, they're throwing all these, like, names and backstory and stuff at you, and Ian and I were kind of looking at all, like, these family names and ties and stuff and going, oh, so I guess some of the, like, the student characters are related to some of these families or dynasties or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that can turn into anything like, you have them fighting against their countries or their families. And, oh, yeah, it does. And, oh, it gets, very early on. Ooh, I wonder what happens if I throw this character into this situation. Oh, okay, I've emotionally ruined him for life. Wow.
Good job.
I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible person. And said character is now just sitting in the church pew looking miserable, and it's my fault.
You still have you have essentially just ruined their lives completely, but then you can just stick them in a one of the many romance options, and there you go. They will
because some of those end tragically too. So
of course they do. Why not? Yeah, of course. That's part of what Fire Emblem is now. Is part strategy, war game, part dating game,
part anime dating sim, part war tragedy, part. Yeah,
there's a lot going on in these games nowadays. I don't even know. There's a lot of characters.
And it's also fun with the DLC stuff because, you kind of get the whole, is DLC just, gutting money out of people, or is it worth it? And if you kind of get a case where, if you've played a game and you enjoy it and you're kind of like, well, I just wish I had a bit more content like what I've already got.
Sure.
Do you need a sequel, or do you just need an expansion?
Mm-hmm.
And, it can be kind of hard to balance this or that. But basically, you have some new maps in this one, and they were a little more on, I guess, the strategic / tricky side of things, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh no, I have to use my brain again. And so that was fun in a sense when I wasn't going, oh yeah, consequences.
Oh yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah,
things are happening.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I have to think my way out of this one. Gee darn.
Crap.
But it's nice that they give you more characters, more classes. The standard battle track that comes with the new maps is amazing and fantastic and the bestest thing ever. And I am so mad that it's not in Smash Brothers. But once they add, 2 or 3 more Fire Emblem characters to the roster, then maybe they can add the track in too.
Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying not all 6 of the other characters are going to be Fire Emblem characters?
Well, I mean,
they probably are.
Maybe one of them will have an axe.
Maybe. Doesn't Byleth have an axe in Smash?
Yes,
but also a sword and a lance.
It's not. I was gonna say, and it's not even her axe or her lance or.
Yeah, she just steals it from someone else.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the other lord's weapons. So.
Yeah, but they finally at least got that Trinity thing that the Fire Emblem series is supposed to be known for. At least they got that represented in some fashion, finally. After, 5 swords people in a row.
And the thing is, the bow's not even really part of it, but whatever.
No, I know.
It'd be hilarious if it was, more effective against Pit or something. You just shoot that little snot out of the air.
Yes.
He never learned to read, but it's okay because Byleth's a professor. She's not a really good one. She's a mercenary first. I
finally picked up the DLC, the Smash DLC, and played with Byleth a little bit. And I really like Byleth and Terry from the new DLC, so I'm enjoying both of them.
Byleth is oddly heavy.
Yeah.
It's interesting,
but not like ridiculously so, like the actual bigger characters. Just in a way that is just enough. In a way that someone who's potentially carrying 4 giant weapons, might be. Yeah, it gives her just a little bit more. It gives her a little bit more power the feeling behind her attacks. I like it.
A bit more clonk.
Yes. That's what I need. That's what I need in my life. But not like stupidly slow like Ike.
Nah, I'm not terribly fond of like slower characters.
No.
But I also...
Me neither.
Well, I mean, I haven't played in so long because I was literally not able to, so...
Yeah.
I can't really say one way or the other. But
well, I mean, you've been playing Smash for as long as it's existed, pretty much. So you have at least an opinion overall.
Yeah, I'm a little out of practice.
So,
but
I always found it funny though that like the name Fire Emblem Three Houses seems like such a step down from the the other recent entries. You have like Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem Fates, and then Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, like a romance saga.
Yeah, right. I
guess. And,
yeah. I understand, but it's funny.
The Japanese name really wouldn't work in English.
I don't even know what the Japanese name is.
Oh, God. It basically comes out something like, how does it work? It's like wind, snow, flower, moon.
Oh, okay.
All kind of smashed together.
That's what it is. Is that like the symbols representing each of the houses or something?
Not even. Each path, like story option, is called.
Oh, okay.
There's like, it's, Crimson Flower, Verdant Wind, Azure Moon, and Silver Snow. To make it really confusing between Black Eagles, Golden Deer.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then I guess you have Ashen Wolves, who get Cindered Shadows, but not really.
Well, I mean, since this is a Fire Emblem game, let's talk about your favorite pairings.
No, let's not.
Let's not. No, you don't want to go into. You don't want to go into
geez.
that. You don't want to go into some shipping wars. Aww.
Please, no.
Aww. You don't want to. You don't want to talk about Petra and Dorothea, who are OTP for life.
Look, okay. There's a lot of issues with how they handled certain things, and Petra's awesome.
Yes.
By the way,
what I've seen of her, she is. Yes. She
will get the victory. Okay.
Okay.
Petra's awesome, and I like her.
Me too.
I like a lot of the cast this time around, though. I honestly do. I like a lot of the cast. I think about the only people I'm not really fond of are like Alois and Hanneman, and that's because almost every time they open their mouths, I'm already like tired of listening to them. They get 2 words into a paragraph, and it's like, I know where you're going with this, and I'm bored. Stop talking.
Is it their voice, or is just them?
In Hanneman's case, it kind of is. In Alois's case, it is a bit of the personality. Oh, and then Gilbert, that's because he's a terrible, terrible father figure who is all wallowing in religious self-pity. And also the first map he's introduced in is really, really long. And he walks at the speed of a reverse snail. And it is incredibly tedious listening to him just kind of clank, clank every turn around the map as though he's useful, but he's not. It just basically sounds like all the older men are useless, but then you have Sedith, who almost single-handedly makes up for all of them. A
reverse snail, yeah.
Sedith's pretty cool, though.
People are liking that.
Well, okay, I mean, like, pretty much any of the heavily armored characters are going to move a whole lot slower than everyone else.
Of course, yeah.
And I've never been fond of that in any Fire Emblem game.
Mm.
It's just a personal thing. I think, like, oh gosh, it was like back in, like, Lynn's game. The first time I stopped restarting a map to save someone was for one of the, heavy hitter clunker characters, because it just got to a point where it's like, no, I don't care anymore. You can stay dead. I'm sorry, but only a little bit.
That's one of the 2 Fire Emblem games I've actually played, is the one with Lynn in it and the one with Lucina in it. That's how I know them as, by the way. I don't know their real names, except I know that the one Lucina's in is Awakening. I know that. I'm making a joke.
Fake fans.
I truly am.
No, it's And I mean, it's a strategy game. Of course, you can find use for just about everything to some point or another. But
Sure.
a lot of, I mean, like Edelgard, who's basically one of the three lords. She primarily works as kind of a heavy armored class axe swinging type character. But she can work with a little bit more movement, so it doesn't just kind of feel like someone's like pushing a shopping cart full of anvils around. With one broken wheel and hoping it catches up to the rest of the party, and everyone else is zipping around on flying dragons or horses or actual horses or their own 2 feet that aren't lugging around cement shoes or whatever, looking like they're struggling to breathe. It just so tedious.
Why can't you put these people on horses? Can you do that? Do the horses
Yeah.
make them any faster?
Yeah,
Well,
but also Gilbert just sucks.
okay, well.
I told you that comes back to the whole terrible father wallowing in pious self-pity.
Okay.
So I don't care. He can go live on a bench for the rest of his days.
They want him-
Absolute benched. Slight spoiler alert. I think his own daughter killed him in my last playthrough.
Perfect. At least you can do that.
Well,
that's some very it's nicely varied and it has some good options. You can kill your own father. Sounds good.
Oh, a lot of characters ended up doing that.
It probably deserved it.
God, there's a lot of bad fathers in that game.
It's almost like it's an anime or something.
Yeah. Bad fathers and dead mothers.
Bad parents. That's the hallmark. Oh man.
That's another nice thing is that, with the DLC, it's like Violet's mother actually got a name.
Uh-oh.
Because before you'd have like a gravestone that just is like, oh, the writing wore off, even though it's only been 2 decades.
Here's your mom.
Here lies dead anime mom.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it goes.
She died for plot reasons.
You can't. You're an
anime. Did she have a face? We don't know, but it probably sported a side ponytail.
You're an anime character. You must be dead. You must have a dead parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's required by law, apparently. Ah, boy.
Jeez.
Silly games.
It's still a good game. You know what?
I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it leads into a lot of tropes. Fire Emblem has always leaned into a lot of tropes, though.
Well, I mean, a lot of things are going to eventually, one way or the other, but still,
right?
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
your parents can't be alive, or they can't be good parents.
Well, some of them, but I'd probably have to go through a list and make notes before I found one in particular.
Really figure it out, yeah.
I mean, Crom is Lucina's dad, and he's not a bad father. He's just kind of an idiot.
Yeah, are you sure he's not a bad father? Because do we ever see him interacting with Lucina as a child, or only as an adult that time traveled back from the future?
Well, he does have that one bit where he's kind of like, I can leave the baby at the wet nurse. Me and my sister were raised by wet nurses. We turned out okay.
Yeah, of course. See? Maybe he's not so great.
Well, comparatively, on a scale.
Okay.
On a scale of, I at least have a wet nurse for my baby while I'm fighting for their future versus I'm going to look after other people's kids instead of my own and feel sad about things I couldn't prevent and decide that God is punishing me and mope about it and ignore my child forever and change my name and move at reverse snail pace, even though I'm supposed to be a crutch for this battle.
Of course.
Screw you, Gilbert.
There we go. We have the name for this episode.
Fire Emblem, screw you, Gilbert.
Yes.
He's not even my most hated character, though. He's just annoying. Just...
Well, we collected a whole bunch of questions from the folks out there in Listenerville. Sure, this is a thing I'm making up now. Just go with it, okay?
No.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, you're right there.
We collected a bunch of questions. So do you want to go ahead and start getting into some of those? Because there's a lot.
Oh, if people actually care what I think. I mean, they did just sit through whatever that was.
They clearly do. They asked a lot of questions, so we got a lot to go through.
Oh, no.
It's okay. You'll be fine. Because first up is Scruffymatt. Scruffymatt's a good dude. He's nice. He's a friendly guy. So I'm going to ask the question from him, okay?
He's Scruffy, the janitor.
He truly is. He truly is.
Yep.
He says, "Greetings, Aleah. I see that your long, arduous hours of plotting to take over the BumbleKast have at last been successful, and I, for one, welcome our new Aleah Overlord. Would you be so kind as to demonstrate your maniacal laugh for us, and then detail your evil plans for changes to the BumbleKast? Is Kyle to be replaced with a doppelganger? Will there be a Q&A segment replaced with Q&Q? Will there be cookies? Evil cookies? The sky's the limit. All glory to the Bumblekween."
Okay, where do I start with this? Maniacal laugh. It's kind of hard to just do that on a whim.
Is it, though?
You know, I don't know. Maybe it will just happen throughout the episode at some point.
Maybe.
I think it has to...
You did it in text form when we started when you first came in.
Well,
but that's not.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard it at some point. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it at some point. But I think it's something that has to happen under the appropriate circumstances.
Sure. It can't be forced.
I can't really detail my evil plans because, then some annoying anime do-gooder might try to stop them, and you're not going to catch me monologuing, okay?
You're way too genre savvy.
I am way too genre savvy. This is why I never got anything done. It take me too long because I'm thinking everything I do and being stubborn and annoying my editors. It's never going to happen.
Okay.
And there was something about replacing Kyle with a robotic double, I think?
Yes, correct.
Well, who's to say that hasn't already happened?
That's very true.
Now, replacing him with a high-quality robotic double, please continue to support the BumbleKast and give me money. And I will upgrade to Kyle Mach 2.
Don't base it on me. That's the first way to get a good quality doppelganger. Base it on somebody else. Don't
here's
make it
the problem with this model right here. It sasses me. It talks back.
Uh-huh.
It thinks it knows what it's talking about.
Not really, no.
It's kind of good for tech support. But
here and there.
If you're stuck in another country on the other side of the coast, it might give you a ride.
Weirdly enough, yes.
But beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah. Not really worth keeping around, so might as well.
So please give me your Bumble dollars.
Those are like bison dollars.
Well, yes.
Of course.
This is my evil takeover.
Of course.
Of course.
Exactly.
You can't see the hand pose, but I am doing it.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad.
Well, of course you're glad. You're my robotic doppelganger assistant.
I have no choice, but still, even if I did, I'd still be glad.
There will be cookies because
okay, good.
I am able to bake again, kind of.
Yay! Are you gonna start doing Q&A instead of Q&A? It'll be Q&Q though, where you'll answer everything with a question.
Will I?
Well, here we go. We're on it.
Are we?
Exactly. Perfect.
Is it?
Okay.
But yes, there will be cookies, but no, I won't be sharing them because they are evil cookies.
Of course.
So the inherent evilness is that they are not shared.
That would make them the most evil. Although,
You know what?
I don't know, if you poisoned them, that would also be pretty evil. But
I don't want poison cookies.
But then you wouldn't be able to eat them, so then what's the point?
I got a Splatoon cookie cutter, and I haven't gotten to use it yet.
Well, now is the time. Well, not right now, but later.
I was stupid enough to buy it, when I wasn't able to, bake or do anything in the kitchen at all. But now that I can somewhat, I will just tell Ian to do it for me.
Of course.
And of course.
I keep saying that.
And then use my cookie cutter and make little woomy cookies.
Make Splatoon cookies.
Yes.
You need those.
I do.
Those are the
What else am I supposed to do with a cookie cutter?
I don't know. I used to make Jell-O in them or something. Like cut Jell-O shapes out of them. That is weird.
You're weird. You're weird. You're a weird American suggesting weird American things to me. And I think we should move on.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was a kid. What did I know? What do I know now?
What do you know now?
Hey! All right. Let's move on to the next one.
I already said to do that.
I'm doing it right now. Here's TBF. Aleah, what was your most fond writing experience?
Oh, boy. Fond writing experience.
Sure.
Fond?
What story did you like writing the most?
Almost all of them were so stressful and panic-inducing. And I'm not even joking. Oh man, I would just be like, I would be talking to Paul Kaminsky or Vincent Lavena or whoever, or even artists who I've known forever. So we're small things,
mm-hmm.
And sometimes it would be like, hey, I was just thinking maybe if it's not a problem, could you maybe, if you have the time and if it's not a hassle, I thought it would be kind of cool if we could potentially work this in, sort of kind of thing. And I'd be shaking or I stressed out so bad because I wanted things to be good.
Right. Sure.
And
they were. So there.
I'm glad you thought so. It's a lot of work and I don't know what I'm doing. No one knows what they're doing. No one anywhere knows what they're doing.
But they're making it work and you made it work.
You know what? Okay, the last script I ever did was a bit more of a lighthearted story, and it was kind of sillier.
Right.
It was a little more like a slice of life kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that, I guess, was a little more fun. It wasn't like this has to, build character arcs and rely tightly on continuity and set this up and build this up and account for, 50 different plot points. It was a lot easier. It had a lot less writing on it. And so that was fun in a lot of ways. And I was really looking forward to it. So, of course, that's the one that never came out.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
I keep saying that and I can't stop.
We're going to keep saying it. It's going to keep happening.
I can't stop. I can't stop saying it. I can't stop.
So,
but anyway,
yeah, so
ahead.
that was I think it ended up being called Baking Bad.
Okay.
So now we're back on the subject of cookies.
Cookies.
And
bad cookies even.
No.
Evil cookies.
No, they weren't. It was a bit of just, like I said, lighthearted slice of life type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the cover for it came out.
Yeah.
And it was by Jen Hernandez. It was super cute. And
like everything she does.
Yeah, really, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like I said, it was, it wasn't just super silly, doing off-panel stuff. It, still had a bit more story to it. It was a little bit, I guess, of in-character world building, but, at the same time, because there, it wasn't so intensely connected to other things around it, it was just kind of an easier, more fun thing to write.
Sure.
So, less panic-inducing, fewer heart attacks, less arguments or bashing faces or breaking kneecaps or whatever the normal script process entails.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Ian about that, but he's not here, so screw that guy.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even care.
Our next question comes from Mike B. And this one came in before the movie, so this one is probably already at least partially answered by the movie, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
It says, which Sonic characters play Fortnite? Which ones would wear a shirt that says, eat, sleep, Fortnite, repeat? And finally, who among them would floss when nobody's looking or outright in public? Well,
Sonic answered that one, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Repeatedly.
At least
you
twice.
know what? Okay, you know what? Literally, when the movie was coming out, I honestly wasn't watching all the trailers because I was kind of apprehensive and kind of just going, okay, after the first one. And
right, yeah.
And at one point, I literally said to Ian, he's going to floss at some point, isn't he?
Someone else on Twitter tweeted that at some point.
Well, I'm not on Twitter.
I know. It's just kind of funny how it's like everyone was thinking, okay, he's going to floss at some point.
I'm not cool enough to be on Twitter and get internet gotcha points.
No, you are really, you're dodging a bullet not being on Twitter. You're sparing yourself a lot of pain.
Well, that's kind of why I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
but,
you're smart. I'm lucky no one pays attention to me. So I'm okay. I'm skirting under the radar, but man, I've seen the people who don't get paid who do get paid attention to on Twitter, and it's not a life I want to. I don't think I want to live. No. So yeah,
okay.
you're dodging a bullet. So you're good.
Okay, but otherwise, okay, going to my own crap, I guess. I could see Cassia, I guess, playing it.
Yeah.
And not necessarily wearing the shirt. And if she saw her little, I think everyone was calling him like the gamer deer subordinate.
Gamer deer.
if she saw him flossing, she'd probably like punch him in the arm and make fun of him.
Yeah.
But then she would do it in private.
She'd do it in secret.
Yeah. She like kind of practiced it herself, but not in public. She would deny ever doing it.
Of course.
Because only losers do that.
Of course.
Maybe Pearly would. A little, like, aggressive 6-year-old type thing. Charmy would. And you know what? He might wear the shirt because...
Charmy absolutely would.
Because in terms of what characters are allowed to wear certain articles of clothing, Charmy seems to be one of the few male characters who's allowed to wear a shirt of any kind.
Is that just because its original design had a shirt? That's like the only thing.
Shh. He's wearing a Fortnite shirt now.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I can do whatever he wants.
Playing on
he's a little weirdo, so
horrible,
it's fine.
Busted ass computer. It's just got like a frozen bottle of water propped up against it as a course.
Yes. Just
and he's really, really obnoxious with the microphone.
You got the side panel on with a box fan, or side panel off with a box fan up against it. And because he streams, you can hear the box fan in the background while he's streaming.
Yeah.
So you get the box fan ambiance while also getting him being obnoxious into the microphone and playing Fortnite.
Exactly.
So he gets a trifecta.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. I love it.
That's exactly how it would work.
Excellent. All right, next question. Next question comes from Drea. Favorite past projects, plans for 2020, favorite storyline in comics, first comic book / collection. I think they mean in general, not necessarily related to Sonic. So
okay. So favorite past projects of anything?
Well, anything you've worked on.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, for like storyline in comics and comic book collection would be like
yeah.
General questions for that, but
I don't like anything I've worked on. Ew.
okay, fine, whatever.
It's all terrible.
My favorite past project of yours is Spark of Life. We know that already, though. It's not. This is an open secret, except it wasn't a secret at all. Everybody knew that.
There was so much going on with that one.
I know. We talked about it before.
I know. I just man. There's a lot I wish that could have still happened within it. I don't think it's bad as it turned out, but I still would have liked more to have come from it, I guess.
Sure.
Or I think more of the things I intended to have actually gotten in the final product, but that was also kind of, a bit of a learning experience. It's kind of like, here's what I wrote, here's the notes I made, here's all the stuff I submitted, blah, blah, blah. Here's the final product. Oh, okay.
I get it.
That's different, but okay. But, and then there's other factors like, time and deadlines and blardy blardy blah.
Right.
Or else. Plans for 2020. At this point, I'm still kind of, doing recovery and treatment kind of things for health wise. So
yes,
that's very up in the air. I would just like to, I guess, continue on that path and see how that goes. So I don't know really what I'm doing. I mean, I was saying earlier that I was, for the first time in I don't know how long, trying to get my tablet to work with not very successful results.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had, picked up a pen for the first time in forever and was just, scribbling around a bit to see if I could. So I don't know. Might see if I get back into writing or drawing or coloring or anything.
That would be awesome.
Without causing horrific pain or destroying my bones or joints or anything, or I don't know.
That would be that's a good thing to work for this year.
Yeah, it is very, dependent on how things go.
It's just it's a slow process, but you can do it.
I hope so. Favorite storyline in comics is kind of a hard one. I think Ian has expressed this before too, and I kind of have, I think, gotten to that point too, where there's a lot of aspects in terms of comic book storytelling as a format that I like, and then in terms of what has been told in comics that I like in general. Sure. But having worked in them, it kind of, I think, can affect your ability to enjoy them.
That makes sense. You can see the...
You can kind of see behind the curtain a bit, and it kind of turns into how much of this is done out of storytelling versus how much is done out of editorializing to what sells. Sure. Why is this here on the cover? Because it's going to grab attention, because it's cheap, the equivalent of, clickbait. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like those old, Superman is a dick type covers. That's what they essentially were. Right. You were buying them because you want to see why Superman is burning Jimmy Olsen's heartfelt gift to him. Or why he's punting Lois Lane off a building, or I
kind of wish they still did comic covers like that, just because it would be hilarious. But I think we've kind of moved beyond that.
You would hope so.
But it's still funny.
It's funny in a sense, but it's also just so cheap.
It is
so cheap.
It really is. But having that thing happen, at least maybe like on occasion,
Yeah, but when that's all there is to it, is it's shock value, and
right.
There are still stories that essentially rely on that. Here's the page of someone doing something shocking. Right. Oh wait, no, it's a complete misdirect, and it's not even a clever one. Right. But it still got you to buy it, so haha, we have your money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work in comics, obviously, but I still definitely, I see past a lot of the, I see through the seams in some of this stuff, just because of, my background of working in this sort of thing. So I'm working in entertainment, so I know that there's a lot of things that are done just because it will get eyes on it, and it's for marketing reasons. Yeah, I see things like it's advertisements or obvious product placement. It's like, okay, well, I know that stuff has to exist in order for some of these things to get. Yeah, exactly. I know these things have to exist in order to get funding and make sure these things can continue existing. But man, it just kind of takes me out of it sometimes.
Well, yeah, and it's a matter of balance.
Right.
You want, but there's a part where it's just kind of like it's soulless.
Sure.
It's cheap. It's pandering, and I hate it.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So, that makes it a little harder sometimes. And then it's also, I know mistakes happen. I've seen it happen with my own work. I've seen it happen with friends' works. But also sometimes it's like there was, oh gosh, I think it was a Green Lantern related story, or, the Red Lantern series on its own or something, where I'm just going to keep it simple, but it was basically like a plot point that a character had lost a hand. Like, I think someone had captured him and cut off his hand. Except 2 pages later, he's drawn with both hands.
Sure. Why not?
And it's just like, come on, please. Just, I know sometimes you have deadlines, but an inker, a penciler, a colorist, a letterer have all looked over this.
Yeah, went through 4 people, at least.
You would hope that at some point someone's given this a final look. And can you just attempt some continuity and quality control?
Yeah.
Because it really takes me out of the moment when you're talking about how this character's been brutally maimed. But no, he's not.
No.
Or, just simple mistakes like that, because it's just it really does take you out of the moment. It's like, well, you didn't care to put this product together. Why should I care about any of it? It starts to sort of feel like, how much care did you put into constructing your story?
Sure.
Which,
I
again,
agree.
there could be a lot of factors. You never know. I'm not saying there's never been any mistakes ever, and there's a whole lot of reasons they could happen, but it...
It's frustrating.
And then there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of aspects I like, there's characters I like, but there's a lot of stories that just do not seem to be constructed well, because they're also designed to draw people in, be a quick flash in the pan, and then completely fall apart. And I'm sure people will rant about these things in more specifics on, these actual individual storylines or series following. But, even if you want to say it's subjective, but to the point where it's like, okay, characters are being grossly out of character or contradictory to everything, or acting in ways that are just, again, it's like, especially online where it's designed to generate buzz because, people are talking about it now. Here's the big new #1 issue of this thing, and something shocking is happening. This character's doing something dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yep.
Let's go find out why.
Yep.
Well, how's the rest of the story panned out? I don't know. Who cares? You bought the first issue.
Yep.
You might buy the next 3.
Maybe.
And I don't care. Whatever. Or the unfortunate case of, well, I subverted your expectations. Here comes the shocking twist.
Oh, no.
You didn't see that coming because nothing foreshadowed it. Ha! I tricked you, dear reader. Screw you. That's not storytelling. That's just being an ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even if people figure it out down the line, that doesn't make it a bad story. That means you set things in place and brought it to a logical conclusion.
Right.
If you are still able to surprise people or catch them off guard, good. That's a clever misdirect. When you just burn everything to the ground,
that's not.
So you can go, ha ha.
That's not good.
You thought you knew where this is going, and now you feel shocked and betrayed.
That's not fulfilling. That's not interesting. Yeah.
Well, so this is my very long-winded way of saying I I don't have a favorite comic book story because a lot of them are really disappointing.
All right, well.
But it said first. I think it was first comic.
Yeah, first comics, or like your first collection, or if you collected any series or anything.
I don't know about that, but when I was really, really little, I don't know if anyone remembers is it Harvey comics?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were like Casper, the Friendly Ghost, and they had like a whole bunch of spin-offs from that too, where it was like there's like a little witch character and a little devil character and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, you got Casper, Wendy.
Yeah,
Wendy.
Wendy.
Richie Rich.
Who's totally not dead Casper.
Of course not.
And so on and so forth. So I had a lot of those when I was little, and also the Archie Ninja Turtles run.
Aha.
Because I was like a huge Ninja Turtles fan when I was a kid. So those were probably the earliest comics I collected. And then just kind of like, random smattering of whatever else was around. And it's like, oh boy, random issue of whatever the heck. I don't know what's going on. And all these adult men look pretty much the same. So I don't know who anybody is. I don't know what's happening. I'm a young kid in French immersion. My French sucks and my English isn't great either. So I don't understand what's happening. Because this is written for an older age group. I don't know. But it looks kind of cool, so...
It's got pretty pictures in it. That's all that matters.
Yep.
All right.
I had some linguistic issues when I was a kid.
That's okay. It happens. All right. Last question comes from Afro Luffy. What are your thoughts on Ken Penders' writing style?
Okay, you said we weren't going to... You were trying to cut this short and we weren't going to be here for a while. This is your... okay.
This opinions do not reflect the opinion of BumbleKast as a whole. So
I'm allowed to have an opinion.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there on the top before I know what's coming.
Okay. Short answer?
Sure.
As someone who has read everything that he wrote for Sonic, as well as the single issue of The Lost Ones that exists, not a fan.
Same.
I don't think his dialogue tends to sound like anything spoken by a human being.
They all tend to end in exclamation points, always.
There is a overuse of exclamation points.
And weird bolding that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, is this my opinion or yours?
I'm just saying. I'm just adding in my opinion.
Okay.
But go ahead.
And that is something, okay, because, someone who, actually going and writing scripts, it's like, where will I put an exclamation point? Where will I use bolding to emphasize a word?
Yes.
And, how that affects the cadence of a sentence.
Absolutely. And
there are certain places where those are needed and effective. And the answer is not everywhere. They are not salt put on McDonald's French fries.
No.
Okay? They are used as needed.
Yes. And they are not very frequently needed.
They aren't. I think there's a common reaction among readers of kind of a good idea, bad execution thing. Mm-hmm. And I think part of what gets people to a point is that in the long run, you basically come into these stories thinking there is something much bigger planned. You think there is going to be a long-term payoff for everything that's building, that you're presented with all these secrets and hidden objectives and double crosses and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so you kind of think, even if there's something that's not satisfying immediately, you'll get there in the end.
Yeah. This idea,
except then you don't.
This idea that there's these big grand plans, and it's not just being written by the seat of its pants.
And that's the thing. It is.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And I'm not just saying that to say that. I'm saying that as someone who, again, has read all these stories, who followed them.
Yeah, same.
As they were coming out.
I've read through all of them, and yeah, I think we pretty much have the same opinion on this one.
Like, characters often don't really have much in the way of personal arcs or even really definable personalities.
No. There's clearly more emphasis put on some characters versus others.
There is that too, but also, like, I know I've said this like a long time ago in the past, but like, okay, as a kid, I mean, and still, I'm, big fan of the Chaotix.
Yep, me too.
So this is the one comic, like primarily the Knuckles comics, where they were showing up. Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of waiting month after month for them to do something or be relevant. And it just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. They essentially sit around waiting for Knuckles to tell them what to do. If they do appear, they almost act as a monolith. Their personalities are pretty much interchangeable if you count Vector's stereotypical attempt at an accent, a personality.
I suppose.
And they don't really accomplish much. And then once you get to what was, promoted as the Chaotix Caper, a story starring the Chaotix, they go off and through a pretty stupid act, knock themselves unconscious for most of the story, and then one of them is written out of it for the foreseeable future.
Great. Fantastic.
And it's kind of funny because it's almost similar to a degree with the Princess Sally miniseries. This was a story, presumably, about Sally. It doesn't, she doesn't have any of her own normal cast to interact with or bounce off of, which presumably was because this was meant as a bit of a marketing tactic. So as to not have any other characters to kind of, I guess, muddy the waters and or compete against.
Right.
It was basically to look at her in and of herself. But even with that aside, she spends most of it unconscious.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah. And
thanks.
It's mostly just St. John.
Yeah.
It's mostly just Jeffrey. And it's like, this is not the
like, who has agency in this story? Who affects its outcome?
It's like, who is this? I didn't buy this comic for this.
Yes, you did.
For this person.
You just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, no. I've never been a big fan of Jeffrey. Yeah.
But
and then he gets worse as things go on. And now there, of course, have been recent reveals about him that make him even worse. And it's like,
But,
oh boy.
But, so it's like, okay, so, there's a Chaotix there. And then, even then, Julie Sue, okay, honestly, the idea on paper, and as a kid, I was really happy. Oh my gosh, we're having this kick-ass soldier girl join the group.
Yeah, I like.
It's a female character.
I like Julie Sue a lot.
We're gonna have like a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio, but okay, it's something.
Right.
But, her personality is inconsistent at best. Mm-hmm. She basically is introduced as being angry and lashing out. So maybe you could say she's short-tempered, which in and of itself would not be a bad trait, except it's not maintained. She basically spends her first few issues reacting to fairly benign attempts at helping her or mere suggestions at anything, mm-hmm. with being mad and taking it as some kind of sexist insult. She literally goes into, you men are all alike. You men always think you know what you're doing.
And it seems like there was this idea of like, oh, she needed to be like tempered by a man in her life. And it's like, no.
If you want to look at it that way, that's even more painful.
That's even worse. Yes. That's kind of how I've seen it going back and looking at it older.
And you know what? That's actually really, really, that's really painful given her portrayal in the future storylines.
Yeah.
Where she literally hangs around in a bathing suit or an apron or a nightgown.
Yeah.
Chopping up vegetables and having FaceTime conversations with family members who, did nothing but try to kill her and ruin her life multiple times, but that's okay because they're sisters.
Yeah. Basically, remove her agency.
She didn't have any.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Even insofar as her character arc, you could argue that she's supposed to be a soldier from a kind of rival faction with a completely different way of looking at life.
Sure.
There's a whole bunch of interesting potential there. But her whole reason for leaving said faction was she caught sight of Knuckles and she just had to find him. That's exactly what this is, we're told, is the magical soul touch. We don't see Knuckles having this exact same reaction where, I become single-mindedly obsessed with this person because I saw them. But she brings up more than once, I'm acting this way and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like someone's forcing their will over mine. That's really creepy.
Yeah. And bad writing.
So there's that.
Uh-huh.
And then she just kind of is strung along by everything. She goes along with Knuckles because she doesn't have anywhere else to go and just happens to get kind of caught up in things. And then continues with her I hate men tirade and how dare you try to help me in any way whatsoever. Which, if you're going to argue this is maybe a point of feminism or she's been danced around, that would be fine, except we have absolutely no reason to think that she's really had any such issues in her life because there's nothing in the Dark Legion that actually presents any,
right,
sexism in its structure. And even then, we're told later that she's had her memory erased twice over, which she has apparently never noticed or reflected upon.
Yeah.
So what experiences is she drawing from that make her act like this?
It seems like kind of maybe just a token feminism.
And it does
stuffing it in there just because.
So what does it serve then? It doesn't.
By a person who doesn't seem to understand what it actually is.
So basically, she is aggressive towards everyone around her, especially if they're trying to do anything remotely nice.
Right.
Or helpful. Or, again, like I said, pretty much benign, incidental things.
Mm-hmm.
And this all just kind of gets forgotten down the way anyway. As the stories go on, this never comes up past the point. She just kind of stops bringing it up. Right. And she just kind of tags along. There's a point where, she gets brought into the city with Knuckles just because she had to find him. She doesn't know why, but so she's tagging along with him now. They both get dragged in by Constable Remington, and then Knuckles gets dragged off by himself, and Julie Sue's just kind of left there. So Remington brings her along on this mission because she was with the Guardian. So maybe that makes her a good representation for him, but she doesn't actually do anything, and that doesn't make any sense anyway, because he has the whole Brotherhood, or at least Locke or anything, on the line. He has contact with them. He has other representations, but okay, whatever. She doesn't accomplish anything there anyway. And then when the Dark Legion comes back, she goes with them and seems to kind of fall back into her own life, and we don't get any actual sense as to whether she is conflicted about this or if she's actually considering going back to her old life. There's a panel here or there where she kind of gives a sad look, but also the chaotics start to escape, and then she just gasses them and prevents them and then leaves them to die in the desert.
Great.
So it's okay, so what is her arc? What is her purpose? What is she doing? We don't really know. She literally exists to be Knuckles' girlfriend.
Yeah. It goes back to writing by the seat of your pants again. It's the same thing. It's we don't know what this character's for. We just put them in here just to fulfill.
Well, it's a female character to be arm candy, essentially.
It's to fulfill some sort of perceived need that didn't need to exist necessarily.
And that's basically what Saffron ended up being, too. Was,
yep.
I mean, even when in a story where Ken was handling the art duties, she even became another, here's a male-female equivalent that's colored pink.
Yeah.
And what is her personality? Let's get married and have kids. Let's get married and have a whole bunch of kids.
It seemed like that was a lot of the romantic love interests were, that was sort of their purpose.
But then there also is, that's kind of a running theme in a lot of these stories, is that a lot of the characters don't have agency.
Right.
Knuckles, throughout a lot of these stories, is basically stumbling around. He occasionally gets to punch people in the face, but he has no idea what the greater picture is.
Yeah.
And any of the greater threats turn out to be things he couldn't have stopped on his own, if he even had any idea they were happening.
Mm-hmm.
You have a story where, he and his friends would have all been shot to death, but Locke was watching, and Locke can magically stop guns from functioning. So
you didn't know?
That's good.
Sure.
Knuckles doesn't know why it happened or how it happened, but that's okay because he can punch people in the face until they run away. They fight Enerjack, and it's okay because, Locke magically summons rockets to throw Enerjack into space, and Enerjack forgets that he is all powerful and omnipotent, so this, doesn't stop him from doing anything.
Yes.
I don't know, he flies off into space going, wah ha 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 ha. Except next time we see him, he's kind of frozen in place because I'm pretty sure I was a retcon, but that's a whole other thing. But basically, again, Knuckles isn't really instrumental to being that. Enerjack comes back, and Knuckles would be dead, except the Ancient Walkers decide, no, he's not.
It's all very frustrating, and this idea that there was a grand plan somewhere is just clearly not the case.
Well, okay, to be a little more concise, I'm sorry I'm kind of going all over the place. Oh, but sorry, that reminds me, a bigger example is Endgame, because that was a big story.
That was a big one.
Never mind. Okay, Sally Acorn. Here's, I guess you could say at that point, she's kind of the secondary protagonist.
Yeah.
Your feelings on that, on anyone's feelings on that, aside from the moment. Pretty important character. And Ken Penders felt, in his own words, that she cramped Sonic's style, and he wanted to kill her off.
Mm-hmm.
So her whole big quest to, try to restore her kingdom and get her father back, to her was basically going to end with a robot doppelganger of her father that she doesn't know is a robot doppelganger, yells at her and tells her off and leaves her in tears, telling her to not trust Sonic, even though that makes no sense for the overall big plan.
Yeah,
sends her on some vague mission whose goal we don't actually really know about. And she goes rappelling off a building to have someone in a Sonic suit making them thinking they're attacking Snively because reasons, chop her lifeline and drop her to her death. And that was going to be it.
Yeah.
Sally goes climbing down a building and dies.
Well, that's satisfying.
Because
it's not.
Because Robot Dad said go.
Yeah.
And also Sonic sucks. And this is all part of a greater plan that was already in motion that the heroes didn't really know about. And frankly, we have no indication wouldn't have gone off without a hitch if nothing had happened, to the point that they all would have been dead had Snively not interfered from the start to prevent the giant doomsday weapon from working as intended to begin with.
Right.
That was it. Everyone would have been dead. Everyone would have been wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
Except another villain tweaked things, so no, they weren't. It was never going to work as intended. But the heroes didn't know that. They had no agency in the matter.
Yeah.
Sonic gets arrested because they need him out of the way for the plan he doesn't know to stop. And doesn't even free himself. Robotnik's own robots shoot the plane down while he's being transported.
Yeah.
for reasons.
We've been pretty well established that keeping Sonic contained is very difficult, if not impossible, so...
Yeah, but why would robotics own robots shoot the plane down?
Because they're stupid. Because they're robots.
And either way, again, the heroes have no idea what's going on. They don't know there's a giant doomsday weapon in development ready to fire at them.
Yeah.
This giant sword hanging over their heads ready to drop.
Right.
If it fired, they're all dead. But, again, they're no actions of their own. They didn't need to do anything about this. You know, Dulcie suddenly remembers that she can detect if someone's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Which apparently everyone knows.
But never...
Exact quote is that everyone knows.
But no one actually thought to
But
question.
no one thought to actually ask her, even though you would think this would come up, often in such situations. Especially since she was in Knothole earlier.
Yeah.
Sobbing over Sally's supposed death. While everyone was conflicted, debating whether or not Sonic or a much taller cat in a Sonic suit who somehow got herself to Robotropolis while dressed as the person most likely to get slaughtered by stepping into Robotropolis in order to murder Snively, who would be dangling off the side of a building for some reason.
Yeah.
But, all that's going to happen. But, never mind. That is the absolute definition of a plot device. Deus Ex Machina, because at that point in the story, we need that part done with. It's over. Dulcie can tell the truth. Shut up. Let's go back, and Sonic's going to turn around and find someone who's a traitor and point them out and get angry at them, even though Sonic actually, at this point, has no idea that Drago's involved in anything.
Yeah. Plot hole.
He has no idea. He has no idea. No one's told him this. No one's figured this out. Sonic has no idea, but he knows it's him somehow.
Right.
But overall, the thing is that, Sally was just going to drop to her death having pretty much accomplished nothing on a pointless mission. And the heroes were not instrumental in really stopping the bad guy.
Yeah.
And that's... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and the only reason that death was reversed was because of fan outcry.
Yeah, well, also because Sega was still interested in potentially marketing Sally.
Right, yes.
That's why we have, all those kind of weird products in Australia.
Uh-huh.
And, there's this weird little bendy dolls of Sally. There's Sally's shampoo bottle.
There's that theme park that had the Sally statue in it that's sadly mostly gone.
Fallen apart, and I think people were trying to save it, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I believe they did manage to get it, yeah, but
okay.
It's...
I mean, even though
rough shape.
You could argue that it was a bit of, clumsy localization, but apparently it was also a bit of clumsy cross-market thing when, the Sonic CD manual thing. Oh, that's totally, Sally Acorn and not Amy Rose.
Yeah, not a pink hedgehog that we don't really actually know the name of.
Yeah,
because we are Americans and
but anyway, that was the thing. At that point, they wanted to kind of hold on to Sally, so they didn't want her dead either. But that was supposed to be it for her character.
Right. It was two things. She
cramps Sonic's style.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and she's redundant. With her father coming back in the picture, her existence was apparently considered redundant by Mr. Penders.
Oh, so it's Sonic going to get into a relationship with Max then? Is that what's going on here? Was that the plan?
Sonic deserves much better. Don't be cruel.
I know he does.
But, he also introduced Elias, who in no way also has similar
You want to talk about redundant characters.
Well, along that line, in lack of agency, you have the Brotherhood.
Uh-huh.
Because Knuckles being the Echidna guardian of the Master Emerald with chaos-linked powers on a floating island was not enough. We need, about, 7 more chaos-powered echidnas who are guardians all at the same time and doing everything behind the scenes, or at least discussing how to do everything behind the scenes while Knuckles kind of ambles around doing things vaguely without really knowing what he's doing and wondering what he's doing and wishing he had some answers. But he's not ready to know them because it's fake intrigue. It's basically telling you, again, don't worry, there's a plan for this. You're going to get answers. Here's the carrot and the stick. Buy the next issue.
Here's the carrot and the stick.
I'm going to beat you with it.
Try to get the carrot while I beat you with the stick. It's pretty much what it was.
But
yeah,
okay, there's this story frustrates me so bad. The whole politics arc in the Knuckles comic.
Yeah.
Knuckles is pretty much useless throughout that entire thing.
Yeah.
He, again, basically just kind of stands around commenting on things, stands around or sits around, depending on the situation, talking about how no one tells him anything and how he wants to know things, and everyone keeps telling him, well, you don't know, you're not ready to know, blah, blah, blah. That's okay, though, because he can jump into a few situations and punch people in the face,
Of course.
To smaller scale. And towards the end of it, he gets captured, spends a whole lot of the story locked up and upside down over a vat because he's captured, I guess, and we're in 60s Batman now.
Why not?
And then they lock him up to analyze his powers, which I guess also knocks him out. But then his mysterious powers that he doesn't know he even has kick in and solve the plot for him by destroying everything.
Why not?
He did it.
Why
did
not?
it. Yay. he solved the day and the political. And then this is what I say. This is something that looks like it's a story that makes sense on the surface. And then the second you try to analyze it, it completely falls apart.
Yeah.
This is the storyline that was kind of infamous for the, as people say, the Holocaust poem. That was... I like how you're just laughing.
I'm just laughing at, okay, Holocaust. Well, it's not that bad. Calm down.
Well, okay, so there were a few quotes used throughout this arc from various real world sources. Some maybe more fitting in places than others,
right?
If you want to argue it, than others. Probably some more easily identifiable, especially to American readers. Because one was a presidential quote, I believe.
Probably. Yeah. I don't remember, but it's been forever
the
since
one,
I read this
the
stuff.
One, that's fine. The one that got attention was basically a riff on the whole, first they came for the blank and I did not speak up for I was not blank.
That, yeah.
Which was written to apply to Robotnik's takeover, which makes no sense because it never happened like that in the book. But also, as it was presented in the comic, it was just presented as being, credited to anonymous. So a lot of people who weren't familiar with the original, being younger readers, had no idea this was something that had a real world source to begin with, much less that it was tied to the Holocaust.
Right.
It didn't really seem to fit. But anyway, so this is a story arc in which you have the Dark Legion basically trying to get involved in Echidnopolis's politics. And at the start it's presented in such a way that it looks like they're basically pulling a shadow campaign. They're, more or less trying to sneak their way in, present a legitimate candidate without, I guess, outwardly affiliating him with the Dark Legion, but sort of still presenting their position.
Sure.
And you could argue, legitimately, quote unquote, legitimately, getting into political manipulation. At the same time, though, the story also has them doing it in a completely overtly illegal way. Basically, they kidnap a known politician, a guy who's already established,
Mm-hmm.
and brainwash him. And
convenient.
Oh, the guy they go after, because they have a bit of a grudge against him, and because he is apparently a known anti-tech politician, and they like to point out that he's a total hypocrite because he has all kinds of high-tech crap in his house, even though the society is supposed to be anti-tech. They're supposed to be like Luddites or something, but don't ask how the infrastructure is supposed to work, why they have TV broadcasts if, they don't have technology, but whatever. He has all the stuff. Now, never mind, you could ask why he has an anti-tech position if he's so in favor of tech. Unless the point is just, hey, look, kids, politicians are hypocrites.
Yeah.
There's some deep commentary for you.
Definitely.
But okay, he's a hypocrite, so it's okay when they break into his house and beat him and drag him off to, brainwash him in creepy surgery land. Because, the Dark Legion are also very gray villains, we've been told.
Sure.
Very, 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 very gray morality.
They're very gray, very dark gray, almost black.
Almost black. Anyway, so they kidnap this guy, this established politician, completely brainwash him so he does whatever they say. And then instead of just, coasting on that, they now have a literal puppet politician.
Mm-hmm.
They use him to appoint a completely new guy in his place.
What is this, Star Wars?
So here comes this new guy named Benedict, who is totally not designed and drawn by Spaz in half the panels he appears in for some reason. But anyway. And Benedict basically starts promoting the resurgence of technology, even though he just took over and was appointed by a guy who's the anti-tech.
Right.
They also point out that, the guy shows up in a really stupid looking gold limo. And, they do make a little lip service to, hey, isn't that kind of high tech for not even the guy himself, just an anti-tech society.
Sure.
But hey, the guy's position warrants it, even though, again, he himself is supposed to be anti-tech. I don't know, whatever. But
don't think about it too much. That's the problem.
The anti-tech guy, I guess all his constituents, the people supporting him or whatever, who cares? He said we're supporting Benedict, who carries a big sword for some reason and is now actually pro-tech. Let's listen to him now.
Uh-huh.
Screw my career. We could have used that as a stepping stone, but no. And they pretty much start using very Nazi-esque imagery and talking points. And I would like to just quickly clarify that this is not me just throwing that word out there. Mr. Penders has basically said that some of these Nazi parallels on his parts, especially with the dingoes, were entirely intentional, and that he would have been more overt had the editor, Justin Gabri, not prevented it. So this basically turns into a nice Nazi rally.
Neat.
Anyway, so that's going on, and then you have the whole dingoes who also Nazi parallels earlier.
Yep.
Who are protesting in the streets, and the protests turn into a mess. And so Knuckles gets, to have some obligatory action scenes where he gets to punch people in the face because that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's supposed to look all fair and balanced. I'm pretty sure there's like a line in there or something. The leader of the dingoes, General von Stryker, General von Nazi. No, anyway, essentially says something along the lines of, I'm not going to go quietly, I'm not going to disappear or be dead, even if you wanted it. And Archimedes is like, oh, that's too bad. I wish you were dead. And it's like, you just kind of like, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it's something along the lines of, is this to be like fair and balanced? Just like, well, if I weren't a hero, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
like, or something. But it's okay because the dingoes are just kind of fighting for their own rights or something. We also get some scenes where they're being carted away in the back of a truck.
That's not ominous.
That's not,
Or
and we also get scenes of, the Dark Legion going into the streets at night and dragging people out of their homes, smashing windows and, storefronts and throwing things around. And, totally not, the night of broken glass here.
Of course
or
not.
Anything.
Of course not.
And, this is also, the story arc is Leanda's first appearance, but she's not called Leanda at this point. She's just known as the Commissar.
Speaking of missed opportunities, she's full of them.
But this is where she orders her men to beat this guy senselessly.
Mm-hmm.
Not senseless.
Senselessly.
Beat him senselessly, which is kind of hilarious. But anyway, she's like, these poor people just want to live their lives and be left alone. That makes them traitors to their own kind.
Right.
Beat them up and beat them senselessly and smash their things. while we run our totally legitimate political campaign, I guess.
Yeah. Of course.
That's supposed to get people on our side legitimately because we have a legitimate position.
Just ignore that. It's fine.
Well, so there's the thing later. You have Benedict talk to Constable Remington, who is given as our only real authority figure within the city itself, outside of the half dozen grandpas. And he has a private meeting with, Remington has a private meeting with Benedict. And during this conversation, Benedict flat out says that he intends to manipulate the digital votes.
Yeah.
In order for their side to win.
Why not?
Because, when you're talking to the head authority, who's like, the constable.
Uh-huh.
Who's like, he's one of, like, he's like the head of the law here. And you just tell him, yeah, all this campaigning and crap doesn't matter anyway. We're going to manipulate the vote.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
To cheat to win anyway.
Well, at least they're being upfront and honest about it.
So again, using the legitimate candidate and brainwashing him to appoint your fake candidate
to
drum up support so you can just cheat on the election anyway, and then you tell the cops about it.
Of course. Why not?
And I know I'm getting slightly off topic here, but this I have to bring up as a slight personal anecdote.
Okay.
People might remember, a long time ago, Ken Penders had put out a, family tree for the many, many echidnas.
Yep.
And this wasn't the only time he did this, but it indicated that Kragok, previous villain, had a son, or a child at least.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people were interested, who is this kid we've never seen before? Also keep in mind that around this point, there was no indication that Commissar / Leanda was his sister. Mm-hmm. There was no indication that the two of them. She never mentioned him as a sibling or anything. There was no indication they were related until much later. She just kind of showed up. But a lot of fans for a long time were curious as to who Kragok's kid was. And at some point, Ken Penders in a group chat revealed that it was going to be Remington. This comes back to this story because when Benedict is having his little chat where he just blatantly says, yeah, I'm totally going to manipulate the vote. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And he basically goes, "Join us, Constable. Join the dark side. We have cookie." Or whatever.
So they just made him a Darth Vader analog.
I don't know. Well, the thing is, he says something along the lines of he like almost blackmails him. He starts going, you probably have secrets in your closet too that you don't want to get at.
Uh-huh.
And then Remington has what's supposed to be a big moment of, screw you, I'm not, going into these shenanigans, blah, blah, blah. And throws his offer back in his face, I guess, because he's heroic and stuff. And he can't be bought.
Uh-huh.
So when this came out, people were kind of going, so with this guy threatening him, with skeletons in his closet and telling him to join the Dark Legion and stuff, does that mean Remington knows that Kragok is his father? And I personally brought this up on Ken Pender's old forum.
Uh-huh.
And I was told, no, Remington doesn't know, and Benedict wasn't making a specific threat.
Okay.
He just assumes that everyone has skeletons in their closet, so it was just a general threat.
Of course.
So that's kind of another example of here's where you kind of feel like a story is going somewhere eventually, but apparently it's not.
Storytelling.
To compound this,
Uh-huh.
a year or two ago, apparently Mr. Penders forgot or has retconned or has decided that he never said that Remington was Kragok's kid.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. So basically that whole scene is all but worthless anyway, because, the Benedict ends this by throwing the brainwashed politician from the start of the story at Remington and running away.
Uh-huh.
And Remington goes to chase, and he runs all the way back to like their political headquarters. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do there, but Knuckles' unconscious microwave burrito powers kick in and stuff. And
I forgot about that.
And it doesn't matter anyway, because as it turns out, Benedict was a robot.
None of it matters. It's all pointless.
A giant EMP wave goes off and Benedict melts.
All right.
There's just like a random text balloon that I don't think is even assigned to a character, so I don't know if it's supposed to be or what. It just says Benedict is a robot as his like face melts.
All right.
So again, we can kind of back up here. The Dark Legion kidnapped a guy who was already in a good or apparently strong political position to brainwash him, not to use him for his political position, so he could assign another politician in his place who himself was a robot.
My eyes glazed over at some point while reading this, apparently, because I don't remember any of this. And I've read all this stuff, but I think there just came a point where I just shut my brain off. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what we're going for now. Whatever.
So Benedict is dead or whatever. He was never alive to begin with, I guess.
Yeah.
The bad guys escape somewhere, vaguely.
Mm-hmm.
We're told through a news broadcast that Benedict won the election anyway. I guess through his manipulating the votes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Remington doesn't bother to tell anyone that this whole thing is a total sham. And on top of that, Dimitri and the Dark Legion are like, it's okay, we have a backup candidate in place anyway.
You know what the funniest thing about all of this is? It's like, you're not mentioning anything about any canon Sonic characters or anybody involved.
Well,
no chaotics. It's all just this.
I can go back to their involvement in a bit.
I know. It's
such as it is.
That's okay, but I just think it's rather hilarious that it's like clearly they have been sidelined in favor of all of this.
I do remember
SBO.
SBO.
I'm not completely sidelined, but mostly
giving the very sage advice, and telling millions of readers millions. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That it doesn't matter who wins anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even say that to himself, but he kind of says it to Knuckles because in these books, they don't have wills of their own and they just do what Knuckles tells them.
Of course.
So he's like, well, it doesn't matter who wins anyway, right, Knuckles? And Knuckles is like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend half the story unconscious anyway. So, but on top of that, so never mind that the Dark Legion's brainwashed candidate appointed a robot who goes and sets up Nazi rallies, but is going to manipulate the vote anyway, and then tells the cops he's manipulating the vote, and then melts, and then it's okay because there's a replacement candidate in place anyway. None of this ever comes up again. So you would imagine that we're ending the story, either the cops do something about the info that they are supposedly given, or the Dark Legion succeeds in getting a foothold in politics sector, the political sector of Echinopolis.
Right.
Nope.
No.
Nothing there at all. And not only that, but we're later introduced to the highest authority in Echinopolis, who is a religious leader. We're told that the city is actually a theocracy with a religious leader.
Okay.
Not mentioned before, doesn't come up during the elections.
No.
Really present or covered for this. And again,
world building.
Well, but yeah, you asked about the canon game characters.
I mentioned them, yes.
They stand around with Knuckles to comment on the brainwashed politician guy's car, I believe.
I think I do remember that, yeah.
SBO tells everyone that it doesn't matter who wins an election, I guess. Disenfranchising all the readers, I guess. And Knuckles, along with Julie Sue and General Stryker, because why not? Here's another thing. They get kidnapped by a new character. I don't know if his name's pronounced Zenon, dude.
Whatever. Dude is fine.
Dude. Cyborg dude. He doesn't wear, the usual evil dark Reaper robes that the morally gray Legion wear. He's just super messy cyborg guy.
Yeah. He
shows up to ambush Knuckles at one point, and I guess just, beats him up, and that's how he gets trapped in the 60s Batman Doom pit until he's not. But this guy is introduced. He has a name. He has a somewhat unique design insofar as that he is a standard echidna covered in cybernetic crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
he implies that he's met Knuckles and that he was rebuilt to be stronger and all this kind of thing. So, there's some intrigue. Who is this mysterious echidna? What is his grudge with Knuckles? Who the hell knows? Because he runs away when things start going to crap, I guess, to escape the EMP or whatever. And Ken Penders never acknowledges him.
Yeah.
Where did he come from before, if he supposedly ran into Knuckles before? No. Where was the story going? Who knows? Because, again, never acknowledged again. I mean, kind of along this line, I think it's in this story, actually, that Leanda, Commissar, whatever, she and another Dark Legioner who was originally Kragok's father until that got retconned. No, there's a
everything.
There's a story where Kragok calls this guy his father repeatedly. My father did this. My father did that. My father.
Yeah.
Except actually someone else was my father. But anyway. And also Julie Sue's my half sister. And also I have a twin sister. But anyway. Why would those things ever come up? They get arrested and captured by the Brotherhood. But the next time we see them, they're back with the Dark Legion.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for it. They literally end the story being arrested and captured because the Brotherhood outsmarted them using gas masks, I think. I don't know. But
I don't know. I'm just over here giggling.
So yeah, they got arrested, but not because why would the story have any consequences?
Yeah.
In the end. But, people took, it's a story about politics. It's mature. It's dealing with really big, and also, Nazi symbolism. Yeah. My God, it's so mature and taking me like a serious adult, even though I'm 11.
Of course.
This is deep storytelling.
Definitely. So deep.
Julie Sue also spends, the story mostly tagging along with Knuckles and then getting captured alongside him. And
so deep in the landfill.
And also this is the one, because it leads directly into the next story, where, they're hanging around the ruins of the Dark Legion political headquarters, and Knuckles' estranged father, Locke, shows up and then runs away. And the only reason the two reconnect is didn't run fast enough and decides to give up. But that's okay because, Knuckles forgives everything because that's how family.
Of course.
And then after that, though, we also get, Julie Sue showing her personality because she reacts to Knuckles seeing something suddenly and, in his defense, if your father abandoned you and made you think he killed himself by jumping into a fire when you were 8, and now you've suddenly seen him again, I can understand someone going, whoa, wait, and running off without stopping to explain to you why they're suddenly running off.
Right.
However, she apparently takes this so badly that we get this whole 2-page spread later of her screaming and shooting a picture of Knuckles while hanging out in, I don't know, some shed or something. Because he dared to run off on her.
How dare he?
Healthy reactions.
Definitely. All right.
That was all very long-winded, and I apologize for that.
That's okay. It's very fascinating. I don't remember most of that, and I read the comics. I think I just tuned it all out and was just yeah,
There's probably
whatever.
More to that story too than I even remember.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that those are the main points of it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, if you're reading this month to month and you're a kid and you're sitting there thinking, wow, these are mature topics and they're going somewhere with this,
mm-hmm.
then you might be willing to sit there and go, well, in a few months, this is going to come to something.
Right.
Even if something seems like the art was atrocious at that point. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure there were parts where there was a panel where a few characters were just colored the same as the sky. Half their body, and other things like that.
Yeah, weird things in the background, or no backgrounds at all, things like that. Yeah, I remember that.
I'm pretty sure there were a few panels that were just the same shot zoomed in, and getting progressively more dithered and pixelated as it did.
Yeah, and
so on and so forth. But you might be willing to let some of this slide because you're sitting there going, "Well, it's going to have payoff," but it doesn't. You introduce this new mysterious cyborg guy who doesn't show up again until, I think, Carl Ballers and John Gray, I guess, or it might even just been John Gray, give him, I think, a cameo as one of the many people captured in the egg grapes.
Right.
And everything involving who got elected amounts to absolutely nothing because it's not really brought up again. And later it's just kind of here's our religious figure who's in charge of it.
Yeah. Pretty silly overall. Kind of pointless. By which I mean completely pointless. And
Knuckles spends most of it unconscious and then EMPs everybody also while still unconscious.
Yeah, when your canon characters and your title characters that are on the front of the book are just pretty much shoved off to the side and ignored, it's what is going on? Why is this Why is this like this? I just wanted Knuckles. That's all I wanted. I don't need all
this. And Knuckles is the guy who glows green and unconsciously causes machines to short out.
Why not? Might as well.
Knuckles is the guy who's constantly wandering around with his tiny ant companion, wondering why no one will answer his questions in a futuristic city full of people just like him, save for a few accessories.
Right.
Fighting his evil distant cousin.
Bunch of clones. Bunch of Knuckles clones with slightly different
and punching design. Protesters in the face.
Yeah, sure, why not? Oh well. I think we're gonna go ahead and we can call it here on this edition of the BumbleKast. Thank you for joining me, Aleah. It has been a lot of fun. It's going to be a longer episode, but that's totally cool.
Okay, I'm sorry if I hope that's all right, and
I hope
I wasn't just rambling too brainlessly.
I don't think the people will complain. I think they had a good time.
Okay.
I know I have had a good time. We've had some fun, so I'll go ahead and do the closing shout-outs and everything, but can the people look forward to seeing you anywhere anytime soon? You want to come back? You just come back on the BumbleKast. We do have more questions now.
So. I guess I'm coming back at some point, and I don't know. We'll see how Ian's voice holds up.
We'll see how Ian's doing, and see if you can do.
If people aren't sick of me, I guess I can do this some more.
If they aren't sick of me, they are definitely not sick of you. It's fine.
I don't know. I sound pretty atrocious.
Have you heard me?
Once in a while.
Okay.
Once or twice.
You sometimes listen. Or at least pretend to listen. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Exactly.
What?
Precisely.
What?
Anyway.
What? Okay.
Before we go, let's give a shout out to the folks on Patreon who help fund the show and make it all possible. Let's do the rundown here. We got Daniel H., Alex P., Connell T., Crooker, Blue Title Gamer, Koopaling Crew, Andrew D., Chris A., John B., Diane W., James K., Jennifer R., Revan the Light, Lisa M., Frederick, Digama F. Wow, Justin S., Silly String, Tukaro, Matthew S., Lee H., Overthinking Films, Don B., John M., Chauvel, Mike B., Duiz Disden, Samuel P., Justin G., Sin Fritz, Dave M., Sam Cybercat, and Final Neil. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the BumbleKast.
Thank you all.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to kngi.org, where you can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in downloadable MP3 format for your listening pleasure with any device. You can also listen to my other show, Nitro Game Injection, video game music show streaming live on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, quickly approaching the 400th episode of that show. What have I been doing with my life? 400 episodes. I should have a lot more, though, because there was a big, long break that I took, and I was doing a different show that has 120 of its own episodes that I could just lump in with that. So really, it's almost 520 total episodes. Whatever, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. Don't forget to also follow Ian over at Ian Flynn BKC. Check out bumbleking.com for all of his upcoming events and stuff going on over there. And also, don't forget to check out his comic, Drogoon, at drogoon.com, an original comic. And you can also support that on Patreon as well.
We both will probably be appearing at the Toronto Comic Con in March.
Woo!
Providing that the whole thing doesn't get shut down over coronavirus paranoia. It's possible, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
we'll
see how it goes.
Yeah, keep an eye out. bumbleking.com is where you'll find the announcements for that. You can also follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast. Email us at bumblecast@yahoo.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or over at kngi.org. You can just download MP3 straight up there. Also, head on over to the Bumble store. We can pick up some Bumble gear at shop.spreadshirt.com/BumbleStore. And of course, our BumbleKast Gaming live streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/BumbleKastGaming on Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and other times throughout the week, possibly. Keep an eye on Twitter for announcements and our social media and everything. We also announce it in the Discord, so if you're in there, you'll get to know about it first. That's going to do it for this edition of the BumbleKast. You got any last words, Aleah?
I'm tired and want to go home.
Okay, well, I think you're home. And,
I'm tired and want to go swim.
And you can be in. You can do what you want now. You're free. You're free. I release you from the clutches of the BumbleKast.
Yay! Now I have to escape the clutches of the Bumble King.
Oh no! All right.
Yeah, we all know he's my prisoner.
That's true. I've been there. I've seen how this goes. I've seen how this goes.
Do I get money for doing this?
I don't know. Do you? Ask Ian.
Good question. That's the best question on the show. Show's over.
Okay.
No more questions.
Well, you have to actually do the show in order to potentially get paid for it.
Crap.
Sorry. You'll have to talk to Ian. Where is Ian? Is he even there? Did he run away? Did he literally just take off?
He's playing video games.
He's like, okay, I love you, bye-bye, and just took off?
Yeah.
What a jerk.
I slept terribly, panicking about all this.
Oh, you're gonna be fine.
You're a liar, but I know this.
I'm not lying. Why would I lie?
Because I know it's all wrong.
When have I ever lied to you? Intentionally.
That's a long time to cover. So.
Intentionally. When have I ever intentionally lied to you? Look, Scruffymatt believes in you.
Oh, that is a creepy thing. I don't like stop animation.
Red Scarf believes in you.
Well, that's nice, but I don't believe in myself, so it doesn't count.
Okay. Well, do your best.
Damn.
Nostalgia's going to kill us all. We really don't need those Tiger Electronic handheld things back. We really don't.
I used to have a bunch of those.
I did too, but I didn't have them because I wanted them.
Yeah, they just kind of happened, didn't they?
Yeah, we had them because we didn't have any other options because Game Boy was too expensive, at least in my case.
I got a Game Boy eventually.
I did too, but yeah, it took a while. It's like, come on, not everything, just because it's all old and from your childhood doesn't mean it was amazing. It's like, I bet these things don't even have a backlight. Not even going to be able to see.
Backlight?
Yeah,
what's a backlight?
I know, exactly. These stupid new Tiger Electronic handheld things. It's like, what the heck? What the heck?
No, I can't use these terms on here.
I mean, we're not we're not actually recording it, so you can say whatever you want.
I don't care. I'm trying to get out of my usual mindset.
Okay, fine. Sorry, your usual mindset is to swear like a sailor. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine with me. I don't personally care, but this is a family show, so you know we try to keep it clean. But you know,
I'm trying to present a somewhat nice image. It's a lie, but I'm trying. Oh.
Well, are you ready to get started? I mean, I know you're not, but I
mean,
is there anything else we need to do before we start?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Do you want to do the intro?
Oh, maybe I need to actually... give me a second, Rod. Just hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on.
You're okay. You're okay.
No, I'm not. This is not okay.
All right, fine.
Oh, no.
It's not okay.
Knuckles says, "Oh no."
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That is the reaction to one being punched in the face is, oh no. Oh no.
You can talk about Fire Emblem.
I don't want to.
Well, then I guess we'll talk about nothing.
Okay, that sounds good. It's a show about nothing. I heard one of those was really successful in the 90s.
In the 90s, yes.
Oh, damn, I'm old.
Yeah, well, you're not that much older than me, so...
Scruffy, the problem is that you're getting punched in the face to begin with. Dodge!
Don't have time. By the way,
first.
I'm... whatever, it's fine. Nothing. I have nothing to say.
Yeah, I believe you.
Okay, good. I'm glad you believe me.
Liar.
You said you didn't believe me before. Now you believe me? Make up your mind.
Do we need to start this?
I mean, yeah. I've been recording, but we can start. Whenever you want to start. Do you want to start off? Do you want to do the intro? The intro Ian usually does?
I can try, and then you can say that was terrible.
But that's not the concept Ian and I are going for on this episode. I can't say that. We're bringing in the better host.
Yeah, better host.
It's not a lie. I am not lying. I don't lie. You know this. I can't lie. I'm bad at lying. When have I ever lied to you?
Okay, now we're just back to where we started.
Well, welcome to the BumbleKast, where everything goes around in circles, and ultimately, nobody is fulfilled. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumblekween Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
I really do want to try to get to the pool sometime today.
Okay, go to the pool. Go swim.
I will try to.
Don't drown.
I will try not to.
Okay, good.
Wait, no. Double negative. Oh, crap.
Oh, no. Okay, we're done. We're done.
You jerk.
I wasn't trying to. This is
you
the
monster.
one. This is the one. No.
Stop.
Okay.
I'm leaving. Okay, bye.
Bye.
You're all great.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Bye. I'm turning off the recording now. Is she actually leaving? I think she...
I'm trying to figure it out. Shut up.
Okay. There she goes.